Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be doing a pork leg on the rotisserie. Now we're going to prep this 24 hours in advance so we can get that perfect crackling. And I'm going to use a vac-sealed supermarket pork leg just so I can prove to you that this crackling method will work on a moist sort of vac-sealed one. I always like to support my local butcher. They can do a lot of the hard work for you as well. They will have theirs in the shop window and it won't be all vac-sealed up and holding all the juices in there, because that's essentially what ruins your crackling. So we'll open this up and get started on the crackling process. So to start with, put that aside and then we will get a jacquard. So a jacquard is basically a series of retractable needles. If you've got something else sharp like a corn cob holder, they work well too. You just want a tool that's going to be able to pierce the skin all over. So we'll get started with that. All right, so we just want to stab this all over on that skin. So we'll get started. All right, now we'll pat the skin dry with some paper towel. You can do this before or after you've given it a jacquard. All right, now we're moving on to the next step. Right, so the reason we pierce or jacquard the skin is so we can create a bunch of little holes in the skin for moisture to escape out of that's trapped underneath the skin. And the way we're going to draw that moisture out to give us that perfect crackling is we're going to cover the skin with salt, and that's going to draw all of that moisture out, and we're going to leave it uncovered in the fridge overnight for 24 hours. You can go up to 48 if you want. Don't be too fussy about what salt you use. It's just to draw the moisture out. It's not going to affect the flavor. It's not going to penetrate through the skin. Just try and not get it on the meat. Otherwise, it might make that part of the meat salty. But as long as you get it on the skin only, you'll be fine. So now we'll go ahead and cover the skin with salt. All right, so our prep work is done. We're going to go ahead and get this into the fridge overnight for about 24 hours, so we'll come back soon. All right, we're just about ready to get cooking, but we'll set the rotisserie up first. All right, so we'll get the rod out of the way. We'll get a couple of firelighters in there. And a full chimney of charcoal or briquettes. All right, so while our briquettes are getting nice and red hot, we can start getting our pork ready. We'll just open this up and we just want to scrape all the salt off the top. It's formed like a crust on top. That's when you know it's done its job, because it's drawn all of that moisture out. So we'll get some paper towel. Some people like to pour boiling water over it. That works too, but we're just going to wipe it dry with some paper towel today. All right, so now the skin's nice and clean. Just going to give it a very light coat and some oil. And then a very light salt over the top. And that's almost ready to go on. All right, and the other thing we can do in preparation is get the pork roast on the rod. Get your forks right in there. Tighten them up. That's ready to go. All right, now these coals are just about ready. We're going to dump them in, and then we're going to move them to either side of the rotisserie. Alright, so the reason we've separated the coals is so that hopefully when our pork fat is dripping down, it's not going to drip directly onto the briquettes or charcoal and cause flare-ups. A few little drips here and there isn't going to cause massive flare-ups, but the more you can reduce the flare-ups, the better. If you can fit a drip tray in there, if you've got a big enough rotisserie, do that as well. I always find that helps, but for now, these coals are ready. Let's get the pork on. Alright, and we're on. Alright, so I'm going to cook this pork roast on the lowest or the second to lowest position, that really high intense heat, and we're going to build our crackling first. And then once we're happy with our crackling, we'll come back and we'll raise it up a little bit, and I'll show you the rule of thumb I like to use a bit later on. Obviously, there's no temperature gauges we can use to see what temp we're running on our rotisserie. So we'll come back once our crackling's set. So for now, we'll crack a beer and just watch our meat spin. Alright, it's only been about 20 minutes and this crackling is starting to look incredible. So once we're happy with the crackling all over, we'll come back and raise it up a bit. Alright, that crackling is looking great. Let's raise it up. All right, so just before we raise it up, if your crackling isn't looking like it's coming along well enough after about half an hour, make sure you've got it low enough. Lower it to the lowest position it can go and get that real high, intense heat, or you might have to add some more briquettes to build that heat up a bit more. They're your keys to getting that good initial crackling is high heat and having it at a really low position. And if you're finding your crackling isn't coming up in certain spots, you can actually switch your motor off while your crackling's facing the direct coals just for 20 or 30 seconds. And that really helps that crackling pop in certain areas as well if it's struggling to really pop on one side and not the other. So we'll get this thing raised up and we'll let the rest cook away at a lesser temperature. All right, so just before we raise it up, we're going to gauge where we're going to put it. So we want to go by about a 2 to 3 second rule of where we can hold our hand over the fire. So it's probably about 1 or 2 seconds there, probably about 3 seconds there. So we'll probably raise it up 2 notches and we'll let it cook away at a less intense heat. All right, so now we've raised our pork up and we've got that 2 to 3 second rule in place. Our main job now is just to maintain that. If we need to add more coals, we'll do that to bump our heat up if we notice our coals are dying out, or we can lower it down a little bit more, or whatever you need to do to maintain that 2 to 3 second rule. So we're just going to check it after about an hour now. We're going to be aiming for an internal temperature of about 150 Fahrenheit or 65 degrees Celsius. So we can just sit back, drink some beers, and let it do its thing now. All right, we are just shy of 2 hours in total, which is what I expected for a 2 kilo roast. Let's have a look at this internal temperature. Now 152, 153. Make sure you get right in the thickest part, check all around, make sure it's all consistent. I'm pretty happy with that, so I reckon we'll get her off and give it a rest before we serve it up. Alright, so now this is done, I'm going to take it inside and we're going to let it rest for about 15 minutes before we slice and serve it. Alright, as you can see, that crackling was awesome. The meat is juicy as. Let's have a taste. I've got my little slice here. That crackling is amazing. It's nice, bubbly, crunchy, everything you want in crackling. That meat is tender and juicy and full of flavour. I love a rotisserie roast. That's amazing. I'm going to go serve this up with the family and enjoy the rest. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.